We're pleased that at least she's got an opportunity to be heard again.
Security at Winchester Prison is in the spotlight after a convicted killer escapes.
A pledge for rail safety is welcomed by survivors of the Paddington crash.
And a little light entertainment, the rival neighbours trying to outshine each other.
Hello and a very good evening. A nanny jailed for 25 years for killing a baby in America may be released from prison by Christmas. Manjit Basuta, who's from Ascot in Berkshire, has won the right for a retrial.
Manjit Basuta was convicted 2 years ago, but has always said that she's innocent. Lawyers say she could be freed on bail in the next few weeks. Tonight, her family said their 2-year campaign has been justified, as Tom Parmenter reports.
This was the moment when Manjit Basuta was told she'd spend the next 25 years in prison. She was found guilty of causing a fatal brain injury to 13-month-old Oliver Smith, who was in her care. Now a retrial has been awarded and she could be freed on bail in time for Christmas.
We're pleased that at least she's got an opportunity to be heard again. I can only guess that she's very, very cautious because she was given a glimmer of hope during sentencing, but that was dashed when the judge totally turned about face and decided that she should have the mandatory 25 years to life instead of probation, which he did have the option of giving her.
This has been the one long-standing terrible case we were hopeful of getting a result in. So you can imagine how happy we are, and we're happy for that big extended family, all of whom campaigned so hard. And we're happy for the Sikh community on both sides of the Atlantic. There's a lot of people who pitched into this campaign, and they must be all very happy. But above all, happy for Manjit herself, who faces the prospect of getting out on bail, we think, in time for Christmas.
Manjit's family, though, fear the bail conditions could delay her release even further. Manjit Basuta has always maintained her innocence, claiming the brain injury was caused while he was playing with another child at her daycare centre in San Diego. Friends and relatives have held protests and candlelit vigils over the last 2.5 years. Now their efforts have been recognised. There are now 30 days for the retrial to be challenged, and her supporters are praying that this time Manjit Basuta's name will be cleared. Tom Parmenter for Meridian Tonight.
Security at Winchester Prison is being questioned tonight following the escape of a convicted killer. William Todd was serving 2 life sentences for murder and attempted murder at Pangbourne in Berkshire. He cut through his cell window and scaled the prison wall. He's still on the run, but police are convinced he's not left the country. Keith Malone has the latest.
Major concerns about security at Winchester Prison are now being raised following the escape of convicted killer William Todd. The Prison Officers Association have told Meridian Todd probably would never have made it over the wall if dog patrols hadn't been withdrawn 3 years ago and if manning levels weren't so low.
3 years ago, Winchester was a Category A class prison, and then the Home Office did a review of prisons and recategorised Winchester down to a Cat B jail. As a consequence, we lost our dog patrols and an amount of staff, which has left us with no dog patrols inside the jail.
Today, police were examining the hacksaw blade Todd used to saw through a window bar in his ground floor cell and the perimeter fence. They also have the grappling hook and rope ladder thrown to him from outside to help him scale the 20-foot wall. And as well as his clothes found in a nearby street, they also have 2 mobile phones left behind with his escape equipment at the foot of the wall. But Winchester's MP is questioning why such a dangerous criminal as Todd was not being held at a more secure prison.
Why was a prisoner with this obviously very dangerous past actually being held at Winchester Prison? We don't have Category A status, which is the most severe prison status. What was he doing there? And the second obvious question is, how did it actually happen? And what can we do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
At the police incident room in Winchester, a large team of detectives are now working on Todd's recapture. They're concentrating their inquiries here in Britain, as they don't believe Todd has left the country. That's due mainly to the swift alert sent out to ports and airports yesterday after a security guard working for Hillier's Garden Centre next to the prison spotted Todd going over the wall at 4 in the morning and called the police.
We've got about 20 police officers locally based in the Hampshire area, but we're utilising officers from a nationwide inquiry in the search to recover this person.
William Todd was given 2 life sentences at Reading Crown Court just 10 weeks ago for the shootings he carried out in Pangbourne last February. He shot dead bodyguard Alex Griffin and severely wounded his employer, Arthur D'Souza, a nightclub owner with whom Todd had been friends for 20 years. Detectives are now going through the evidence which came out at his trial in September in the hope it will give them clues as to where Todd might be hiding and who might be helping him.
Well, with the latest on that story, we can now go to Keith Malone, who's in Winchester. Keith, has there been any further reaction to the whole issue of security at Winchester Prison?
Well, Andy, the Prison Officers Association are going to take their concerns to the internal review of security being carried out now at Winchester Jail by an external governor. He's been specially brought in for the job. Now, those concerns, namely, are that nighttime dog patrols should be brought back straight away, and that staffing levels inside the jail should be raised. That's one of their long-term grievances, that there simply aren't enough prison officers inside the jail to ensure proper security.
What about that comment that we heard in your report from Mark Oden saying that Todd shouldn't have been in the prison in the first place?
Well, it's not unusual for murderers like Todd to be kept for short periods at Winchester Jail. He was there temporarily pending his relocation to a life assessment centre, from where he would have been moved again to a top security jail to spend the bulk of his 2 life sentences for attempted murder and murder. But if this internal review finds that security can't be improved, then murderers like Todd might not be kept there in the future.
And what about the inquiry tonight, Keith? Do you have anything for us at all? Anything latest?
Well, Andy, Todd's been on the run now for nearly 40 hours. There was evidence at his trial that he knew men who could forge passports, but the police say they're confident, as I said earlier, that he's not out of the country, and Detective Inspector Wheeler told me earlier today that he was confident Todd would be caught, and caught quickly.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. Keith Malone reporting there from Winchester. Now, Mary.
A pilot suspected of training some of the September the 11th hijackers has been refused bail by a High Court judge. American prosecutors believe Lotvi Raisi, who was living at Colnbrook in Berkshire, could have been an instructor for the pilots responsible for the hijackings. He was refused bail while he awaits extradition to America.
The former Tory MEP John Stevens, who defected to the Liberal Democrats yesterday, has been welcomed into his new party. Mr Stevens, who represented the Thames Valley for 10 years, formed his own pro-Euro Conservative party, but now he says the Tories can't be an effective opposition party.
I think it is in a far weaker position than the Labour Party was in 81, 83. I think it's got less members, it's got less members of Parliament, its heartlands, I mean, even seats like Henley or Maidenhead or Windsor are vulnerable now.
A nursery school teacher has appeared in court charged with cruelty to children. Gaynor Campbell-Brown was the principal of a privately run kindergarten at Alton in Hampshire. It's alleged she dangled a 2-year-old boy over a wheelie bin. She denies the charges. Tom Savides reports from Winchester Crown Court.
Gaynor Campbell-Brown was arrested in January of this year following complaints from a parent. Today she took the stand to deny she'd threatened to put children in a large wheelie bin if they misbehaved. The 54-year-old, who has numerous childcare qualifications, told Winchester Crown Court that there were very few rules at the Alton Little School, which is now closed. But she told the jury that one 2-year-old boy would repeatedly use the phrase "in the bin" when something he didn't like would happen. The court heard how this went on for 3 weeks. So one day Campbell-Brown decided to take the boy outside to show him the wheelie bin. The defence then asked Mrs. Campbell-Brown, having arrived at the bin, what did you do? I discovered it was full, she said. I held him up close against me and he held onto the side. I told him it's big, it's dark, it's dirty and it's smelly. Not a very nice thing, is it? And he agreed. What was the manner of your voice, she was asked. I wasn't shouting, she said. It was normal. The defence then asked, did you ever threaten to put him in it? No, she replied, never. The court was then told by the prosecution that staff at the school had seen and heard her threaten other children with the wheelie bin, something she strongly denied. The trial continues. Tom Savides at Winchester Crown Court for Meridian Tonight.
Teachers across Hampshire are being offered financial help to buy homes. The interest-free equity loans are aimed at teachers looking to buy their first property. It's part of a government scheme to help people working in areas where house prices are high.
Wiltshire police are investigating a fire at a thatched cottage near Salisbury. Officers have been sifting through the debris at Coombe Bisset. They suspect arson. The cottage is undergoing renovation.
Now, survivors of the Paddington rail crash have joined politicians and the rail industry to sign a pledge. It promises that safety measures recommended as a result of the crash 2 years ago will be carried out. Many of those killed and injured at Paddington were from the Thames Valley. Our transport correspondent Mike Pearce has the report.
Standing side by side, leading politicians, survivors of the Paddington crash and representatives from the entire rail industry. They'd come to sign a document pledging to implement the findings of the Cullen report into the disaster. The move followed months of campaigning by Pam Warren from South Oxfordshire, who was badly burnt in the crash.
Personally, I think it's a form of closure against the anger that I felt about what happened to me personally. For the group, it's a great achievement. We've actually carried through what we decided to carry through, which was to make the government and the rail industry accountable. And hopefully, with Lord Cullen's recommendations, it's going to make the trains an awful lot safer for the travelling public today.
For the government, Transport Secretary Stephen Byers pledged his support.
The Cullen Declaration, drawn up by the Paddington Survivors Group, I think is a very important statement of our intent to deliver the safer railway that we all want to see.
The key recommendation is that a system to prevent trains passing red lights is introduced. Better staff training and improved safety systems are also part of the Cullen report. Following the Clapham crash, safety promises were broken. Not this time, insists the rail industry.
The recommendations of Cullen will be complied with, and they will, in their totality, lead to a safer railway.
That's a guarantee, is it?
Oh, yes, yes, certainly.
With politicians from all sides pledging their support, the hope is that safety improvements will follow whichever party is in power. Mike Pearce for Meridian Tonight.
The pledge for a safer railway. We're going to take a short break now. In a moment, Carl's weather forecast and the travel details tonight from Susanna Streeter. Also, is it first night nerves as the curtain goes up on the Panto? Judge for yourselves.
And do your Christmas lights rival these neighbours in Hampshire? Join us and him after the break.
I could have been the fastest fire engine, or turn you into the scariest monster. I could have even flown to the moon. But what chance did I have? I contained a digital interactive TV.
Come on, we've got to get to the co-op. We've got to get those deals.
Red or white Arniston Bay wine. 3 bottles for an amazing £10. This 10-pack of Stella Artois, a must at half price. Delicious Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Buy one, get one free. And scrumptious Co-op party cocktail canapes, half price.
Stuffing!
Co-op, there for you.
Welcome back. Still to come, the weather details with Carl Tyler, the sport, of course, with Chris Maughan, and well, Susanna Streeter tonight has the travel for you. But first, if you've just come home, here are tonight's main headlines. A nanny from Ascot, jailed for 25 years for killing a baby in America, may be released from prison by Christmas.
And security at Winchester Prison is under the spotlight tonight after the escape of a convicted killer.
Now, you may remember last month we went along to see more than 100 school children auditioning for a part in a pantomime. Well, the lucky 20 who were chosen have been working hard in their rehearsals for Aladdin at the Corn Exchange in Newbury.
Well, they've had just 3 weeks to learn their song and dance routines alongside professional actors. Philippa Heap has been following them from their first rehearsal to the big night.
It's late November, and for the lucky ones picked from the auditions, the hard work begins now.
First day it's fine because, you know, the memory bank is empty, you know, so they've learnt it amazingly well. When we get to the fourth and fifth song, it gets harder because the memory bank sort of gets full. Things start going then, but at the moment it's very good.
It's time to check out what they'll be wearing. The first fittings bring mixed reactions.
These are our finale outfits, and the older ones are polar bears and penguins. So we've got the big costume, and just quite a few costumes to wear. We've got to change into.
I don't really like this one. Why not? I don't know, I just look a bit strange in it.
Are they uncomfortable to wear?
Yeah, they're really itchy around here.
Itchy or not, they've all got some bizarre costumes to get to grips with. The evil Abanazar has magicked the palace to the South Pole, where the princess meets some unusual friends. And so the big night arrives. The house is sold out, and there's just time to put the finishing touches to the opening outfits.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your half-hour call. You have half an hour.
Time's ticking by, so how are the girls feeling?
I'm a bit nervous, but not that much. Really excited though. Excited because it's the first performance. Everyone's nervous and excited. Yeah.
3 weeks worth of rehearsals, and the first night draws to a close. And just to think, they've only got another 52 performances to go. Philippa Heap for Meridian Tonight.
And didn't they do well?
Well done to them, yeah.
Yeah, we're booked in for that, actually. Going to see
It looks great. Yeah, they have to work really hard, those kids.
How's your panto? It's your village panto you're in, isn't it?
Oh, village panto. Yes, not on the same scale. Dress rehearsal last night.
How did it go?
Not too well.
Disastrously.
We're having another one tonight. It was that bad.
Which side did you slap that one?
I can't tell you that.
He's behind you.
He's behind me, the sport. Oh, no, he isn't. Chris
yes,
Maughan,
he is.
tell us all about it.
Thanks, Mary. We begin with cricket, as England have lost arguably their best batsman from the Tour of India. Surrey's Graham Thorpe is on his way home for what's been described as personal reasons. Well, on the first day of the second test, his Surrey colleague Mark Butcher helped England to a first innings total of 277 for 6. Mark Ramprakash also played his part, as Kerry Johnston now reports.
With captain Nasser Hussain winning the toss for the first time in 14 international matches, the tourists elected to bat. Mark Butcher making a shaky start, surviving several chances at slip. He recovered, though, to make a battling 51, while strike partner Marcus Trescothick scored a healthy 99. Butcher's undoing was the leg spin of Anil Kumble, deceiving the Surrey batsman. Keeper Deep Dasgupta taking the catch. England were 124 for 1. There soon followed a familiar batting wobble. Hussain LBW for 1. England again had that sinking feeling. But then Surrey's Mark Ramprakash came to the crease and steadied the ship with some solid batting, here dispatching Kumble for 6. He eventually made 37 before being bowled by Sachin Tendulkar. By close on the first day, England had reached a respectable 277 for 6. Kerry Johnston for Meridian Tonight.
Well, some cricket news here this evening. Hampshire's new ground, the Rose Bowl, is set to stage international one-day matches from 2004. The England and Wales Cricket Board has awarded the £17 million venue international one-day status. Now, Olympic gold medalist Matthew Pinsent has landed a prestigious role in Olympic sport. Pinsent, seen here at Henley as part of the victorious Coxless Four, has been invited to join one of the International Olympic Committee's commissions. There are just 19 members on the Athletes Commission. He was nominated by the British Olympic Committee, but will represent athletes from around the world in the build-up to the Athens Games in 2004. On to football, and Southampton midfield player Paul Murray has signed for Oldham on a free transfer. He's been unable to command a place in Saints' first-team squad. Meanwhile, Reading club captain Phil Parkinson is back in action. He played in a 3-0 victory for the reserve side at Gillingham this afternoon, and together with Adrian Whitbread could be in the squad for Friday's match against second division leaders Brighton. Whitbread has missed 5 games through injury. Now, 2 stable lads have been honoured for their service and dedication to the racing industry. Both have spent their working lives in the sport. Rodney Bolt has spent much of his working life at David Ellsworth Stables near Fordingbridge in Hampshire, and Peter Maughan is the yard's long-serving travelling head lad. The pair were named Stable Staff of the Year at the Derby Awards in London.
I think it feels as if it's all my hard work for 50 years in racing. I feel it's been honoured. Very nice.
Well, it's a great honour and something I didn't think would ever happen, you know, but I'm very, very honoured by it and very pleased to have this award.
Fantastic. You know, I just love riding good horses, you know. I love riding all horses, but especially good ones.
Rodney and Peter Maughan there. Peter, no relation, I can tell you, but congratulations to both of them.
Indeed. Well done to them. Now, I suspect many of you will have been rummaging in the attic or in the drawers over the past week for your Christmas decorations, but in an effort to bring seasonal cheer, few will have gone quite as far as 2 neighbours who live in Headbourne Worthy near Winchester.
Yes, in the spirit of neighbourly rivalry, they've put up more than 8,000 lights outside their homes, and they're now even on the tourist route for some coach parties.
The Winchester Illuminations, the result of 8,000 lights, a year's planning and a healthy dose of neighbourly competition.
It started in around about 95. Both my wife and I and children moved out here. And coming up to Christmas, we saw Roger 2 doors away with lights in his windows, and we thought, well, 2 can play at that game. A friendly competition, I must stress. We always have laughter leading up to this, and quite often we're seeing each other on the ladders, trying to hide each other's lights to not give it away for the opposition.
What began as something just for the kids has blossomed into an annual challenge. The latest in one-upmanship at number 3, a homemade snowman.
That's a mini Metro rear wiper motor.
He's a nice welcome, isn't he?
It started off on a Sierra, but it didn't last very long, so it says something for Metros, I suppose.
Now people make special detours to see the display.
Each year, more and more people at work, friends and family, and we're hearing that from all over Winchester. They come out to see. More the merrier, please.
You've got all year to get ready, but you leave it for the last minute, and then it's one mad rush. Yeah.
My job basically is just to stand on the bottom of the ladder in all weathers.
Yeah.
But no, when you see the kiddies, their little faces light up, it makes it all worthwhile.
There is, however, a dark side to this display.
Roger isn't your next-door neighbour. Your next-door neighbour hasn't got any lights on. Are you going to try and persuade them?
We've tried to encourage them. We hear that he's got around about 20 to put up in the window.
Little beginnings.
Well, and this is what it can lead to.
They are
All over him
startling.
like a rash in the end, isn't it, if he starts with his lights? Do they actually have any rivalry at all, though? I mean,
Oh, just friendly rivalry, yeah.
but I mean, presumably, how did they sort of come out? Do they come out at night and put the lights up so that
No, I think I do it in the
each other
day, obviously, but you can't see the lights, can you, if they're not on? It's not until it gets dark that you can see what each other's done.
No, very impressive.
Fantastic,
anyway.
and especially because there's no street lights around there, so it just looks really, really bright. It's great. Well, if you think you can better that, or you know someone who can, and I bet you can, get in touch. You can call and leave us a message on 01635 522 614. That's 01635 522 614, and we'd love to see all those illuminations.
This fella lights up a few people's lives now and again. Let's join Carl with the weather forecast. Good evening to you, Carl.
Good evening. Well, a bit of a mixed day today for all of us. It was a grey and misty start and started to brighten up. Now, some places have seen a bit of sunshine through the day, others have stayed rather murky. And this is giving us quite a range in temperatures. Well, the sun's come through, they've been up to about 7, that's 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Elsewhere, 3 or 4 has been much nearer the mark. Now, I think we're going to see a good deal of cloud right the way through into the weekend. It will be dry. It's going to be quiet, settled weather, misty and murky overnight and rather cloudy by day and getting a little bit cooler. Now, if you have a look at the satellite picture and run the sequence, you can see all the rain-bearing cloud is well out of our way. It hasn't come anywhere near us. The satellite's not picking up this very low cloud that's been right the way across the country. Now, the reason for all of this is the high pressure. That high pressure is keeping the rain-bearing cloud out of the way, but Where it's situated means we've got northeasterly winds picking up moisture off the North Sea, bringing this cloud in towards us. And by noon tomorrow, there's not much change. We've still got these northwesterly, easterly winds, and that will keep the cloud going.